the company. I have been seeing this company when it is not in its flourishing times. In fact, it was not bad times, but just kicking along. But I have not seen employees keen to get out of this company and join different other companies in any other prosperous or much prosperous ventures. And generations to generations, people have believed in these companies and kept going along with them. This is one common thread that I could see in all the undertakings which we own. One more significant thing that I could note is the fighting spirit of these employees. Whenever we are down, these employees motivate themselves and in fact spur on the companies to do good health. And one more thing which I find noteworthy is the respect and reverence that they have for the organization. It is something more than a profession. So these characteristics which I could find among the manpower was the main reason or the mainstay for these companies to go from one century to the other seamlessly. I'm thankful to the Corporate Heritage Committee for having given me an opportunity to express my view. And thanks everyone for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohan. And two very, very important points which you have made. I think this is what we were looking for. One was the loyalty of the employees and the fighting spirit of the employees. I think that has played a very important role in your continuity. Thank you so much. Now, may I request Mr. Sekhar from Bama Lorry to please narrate his journey of Bama Lorry in Kolkata.
Yeah, good evening, all of you, my co-panelists of this event and all participants. I feel very delighted to be part of this panel discussion for two reasons. One, the topic is centered on the city of joy. And second, I lead an organization which has significantly contributed to the industrial heritage of Calcutta. Now, coming back to the history of Bama Lorry, many of you might be aware, but it is my duty to just, tell about that. It's just completed 155 years, and then we are going to celebrate our 156th Foundation Day on 2nd February. And before this August gathering, I would like to proudly announce that we never made loss. We have always been making profits. And this is possible because we saw the changes coming and we changed ourselves. So, as Mr. Kapoor already stated in his opening remarks, that managing agencies and then industries, yes, Bama Lorry started as a trading company, entered into managing agency for tea estates. Then it saw opportunities in various other businesses, then ventured into, and now today we are diversified company. And probably the only public sector, by saying this, I may not be wrong, only public sector which has interest in services area as well as manufacturing area, which is a diversified businesses. And under our fold today, we have industrial packaging, where we manufacture our steel, 210 liters of steel barrels, which is, we hold 34% of market share. And we are also into greases and lubricants, where we hold around 18% of industrial grease manufacturing share of the market in the country. And we are also significant players in logistics services as well as logistics area. Then we also have travel and vacations under our fold. Then we are also into leather chemicals, and we are also into refinery and oil field services. So, which is basically a diversified company, and that is the reason where Bama Lorry could survive for all these years. How I am saying this is, if one business area is down, the other business area took care of that. That's how we were able to manage the weather the storms which are come in our way. Now, for example, the COVID, which is actually showing its effect on all our areas, and then the badly affected area in our company is travel, right? And then now travel and vacations are not doing well. but at the same time, other business areas like manufacturing, industrial packaging, and other areas are taking care of the void which is created by the travel business. So this is a secret. And the other secret, what Mohan also said, I also agree with him, because generations of employees are attached with this company. They identify this company as their, fathers worked. So that kind of a patriotism is there in this company. So that's how we were able to survive or weather all the storms. And mind you, Bamalari has never afraid of closing certain businesses and venturing into new businesses. That is also one more area, or one more, one more factor which helped us to weather all the storms, and then able to go very strongly in spite of all the odds what we are facing today. We closed businesses like tea, we closed businesses like oleo specialty chemicals and managing agency system or whatnot. Earlier we were also part of some trading and then some coal business. Everything we closed, and now we entered into this. And today we have touched at one point of time 1900 crores turnover and around 200 and odd crores profit. But now because of COVID and other businesses, the turnover is little lower. But coming years, I'm very hopeful that with the help of my employees, we will be able to actually charter the growth. And then it is aiming at reaching 6,000 crores company by 2024-25. So we are having a strong journey. And basically, I strongly believe what Peter Drucker said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So basically, our predecessors have predicted the future, how this company has to be, and then we are able to create it. And I also pass on this message to my employees. So same thing, instead of just thinking or imagining, create the future so that you are there strongly. Then one more relevant quote, basically, which Yuval Harari says, the biggest challenge in 20th century is some people exploiting others, but the challenge in 21st century is going to be irrelevance. So, this is a great area of conflict for all of us. If you are irrelevant, you are extinct. So staying relevant is very important. So that's where Bamalari could learn its lessons, and we are able to stay relevant, and then we are, having this journey. I once again thank BCC&I and Intach for giving us this recognition, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Shekhar. That was very inspiring. And I think a very big takeaway is what you started with, that you changed yourself with the change in time. Because people who have not changed with the changing times have actually fallen by the wayside. I think it's a great input. And I'm so happy to hear all these, I would say, nuggets of management knowledge, which is coming through in this particular event. Thank you very much, Mr. Shekhar. May I now request Mr. Shah from Harley to kindly take the stage.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kapoor. Good afternoon, fellow panelists and all those who have joined the session today. First of all, a big thank you to Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing this really marvelous tribute to those who have managed and survived these several years. F. Harley and Company, as I noticed from the statistics that have been given, we seem to be the oldest company because we are established in 1825, whereas several of our fellow companies that are there in the program today have come a little bit later. So I guess that does make us feel very proud of the fact that we are the oldest. But at the same time, I should say that we are the babies in the group because ours has been a much smaller company in size. Essentially, F. Harley and Company has, from the very beginning, been a family-owned company. F. Harley and Company stood for Felix Harley, started out way back in 1825. The business in those days was more a textile-oriented company. And before it went into that side, it used to supply labor to the tea industry. And thereafter, it went into understanding the requirements of the tea gardens. And that's how it went and forayed into the business of creating tarpaulins and tarpaulins and waterproof canvas was the mainstay of the company, and it's developed its reputation from that. I guess one interesting piece of information that I like to share is that the company did very well every time Britain went into war, because we were supplying all the materials that were required, such as canvas and tarpaulins, into the British war movement. So I think that was a very profitable time for the company. And I'm talking about wars such as the Boer War and the World War I, World War II. And the business continued in the same way until almost the 60s, when the Harley family decided to leave and go away, and the present management stepped in. And therefore, my family has been owning this company for now over 50 years. And sometime in the 80s, our journey changed quite a bit, because we transitioned from being a textile-based company into a company which was into the area of engineering. And therefore, we moved into the business of air pollution control systems, focusing on dust control. And our business comes from the power, steel, cement, ports sectors. Along the way, we also added new technology, which came through collaborations that we had with companies in Europe and the US. And the journey has continued since then. Our company's size has remained, in terms of volume, we are about a 30 to 40 crore company. The number of people we have are about 150. I think the reason why we have continued to sustain ourselves compared to several other larger companies that came and went is because of the fact that as a small company, I think we were able to be far more nimble-footed and take, let's say, strategic decisions, which included even to change the direction of the company almost 180 degrees in certain times. And that was only possible because we did not carry the baggage of a huge past legacy of several employees, assets that had been invested into, and therefore it was possible for us to reinvent ourselves as we went along. The other aspect is the realization that the company needed to move into a more value-added business as opposed to being in a very commodity-oriented business, which was something which was necessary to do and was done at the right time, sometime in the mid-80s. Those were also the times when it was not very easy to bring in foreign technology, and that is precisely what we went and did. So we were able to have collaborations with companies in the West that helped us to get ourselves the right product at the right time. I guess the other aspect is that even when we went into the business of air pollution control, which is a very vast area, we consciously chose to focus on very niche areas and consciously be, let's say, a bigger fish in a smaller pond as opposed to being a small fish in a larger pond. And that has helped us to be in our area of specialization. We are literally number 1, 2, or 3 in any business area that we are into. But therefore, we choose the areas that we would like to be in and then try and be the best that we can in that area. I also draw inspiration from what some of our panelists have said, that the employees that we have, I guess one thing is that in Calcutta, particularly in West Bengal as well, you don't see attrition as much as you see in other places. And that is also true for our company, because we have been able to have members who have stayed here for literally 2 or 3 decades. And you don't see that in this day and age. But yet we still have several of such employees, and we are thankful to them for the role that they have played in the growth of the organization. What more can I say? I'll be happy to take questions and participate in the Q&A. Thank you once again for including us in this great list. I hope we can do justice to the fact that we have been brought into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. It's been great having you with us. And again, a very important takeaway from you is being nimble-footed is a very important aspect of management. Change again with the times, and being, as you said, a small fish in a large pond, and also taking your employees with you. That has been the mainstay for most of these other companies also, that the loyalties of the employees has been something which you have looked after. Thank you so much. And now we may request Mr. Gautam Rai from CESC to kindly address us. Mr. Rai.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kapoor, and good afternoon to you all. In fact, CESC, again, a very old company, 124 years old, and probably the oldest distribution license in the country. And it has become an integral part with the city of Kolkata. We call it an institution, and we have grown with the development of the city of Calcutta. Way back in 1887, the city of London was electrified. And just after 10 years from then, city of Kolkata was started electrifying. 1899 was a year to remember in many ways. In fact, recently we have been honored by IEEE, the largest professional body of the engineers, to really, on the occasion of that Calcutta 1899, it is basically a milestone in the electrical energy development in the world. And Calcutta was the capital of India at that point of time. And the first commercial thermal power station in the entire Indian subcontinent with 1,000 kilowatt capacity was commissioned on 17th April 1899. Supply was at 450/225 volt, 3-wire DC system. The station was located at a centrally situated plot of land on Imamberg Lane, now Prince Street, and was equipped with Crompton dynamics. In fact, Crompton had played a role. Mr. Crompton has played a role of bringing electricity to this company. Calcutta Electric Lighting Act was established, little back in 1895. And in 1897, Kilburn and Company, I would touch upon a little bit of history. Kilburn of Company, they have got the electric lighting license as agents here to operate here in Kolkata, city of Kolkata. The first consumers were, the supply was given to Bank of Bengal, now State Bank of India, subsequently converted to Imperial Bank and then State Bank of India, Bengal Club, and the Great Eastern Hotel. They were the first, beneficiaries or takers. And in fact, the electricity was given at that point of time by giving advertisement. People have to be get influenced so that they get the electricity. And it is a journey. In fact, it is not only 10 years after the city of London, it was only 17 years after the city of New York was electrified. Subsequently, Governor House, that was electrified. And gradually the electricity was being used for fans. That has become very popular. And in fact, I can give you a figure that way back in 1899, this Kilburn company quoted ₹18 for that time I'm speaking of, hiring one electric fan used day and night for the supply of electricity. Then High Court actually opted for electricity. All are more or less contemporary, 1899, High Court, and they had got a special sanction of 15,000 rupees by the government for that entire electrification plan. Calcutta was having horse-pulled tram cars, which converted into 1902 as electrified tram. This is probably one of the oldest such, transport facility in the world. And gradually then the F&C Osier company, they were trying to advertise, promote, and electric irons came. Then refrigerators, their use has come. Harrison Road, presently the Mahatma Gandhi Road, that is the first street which was electrified as a street lighting type of thing. Why I am mentioning that, you have to see, we have seen not only it is the question of the year or one after and what is coming. In fact, 1911, the first thermal power plant in truest sense, what we call it, a 15 megawatt plant was stationed in the Kashipur. Then, of course, the Kashipur, then it has come in the Garden Reach, then the new Kashipur has come. I am not going to the latest history. But thing is that going through this history of 124 years, the important aspect to notice that, yes, legacy has played a very important role, but you have to continuously change and change yourself with the change management requirement, both with respect to technology, with respect to process, with respect to people. Otherwise, it is difficult to sustain. So how an organization, we all know, even having the best results what we achieved yesterday, but if we try to run the organization the same way today, it will not. The same, it is for also the strategy has to be different for the future. So the most important challenge, the most important aspect was how to really keep on going the changes to be incorporated in the technology. For example, I can tell you, when I joined, I think I'm speaking in the mid of 80s, all our substations were manned 24/7. Now, none of the substations are manned. It is all digitally automated and it is controlled from a central point. In fact, I can tell with a lot of pride that the technology, the automation we practice probably is one of the best in the country with respect to performance I'm speaking of. I can call you, even when the jute industries were developed and the need of the electricity was to serve the jute industries by the grown up in the bank of rivers, both sides. And the whole idea was how to really bring electricity from this side of the city, part of the Ganges, to the Howrah side. Then the use of submarine cable came. And way back in 1927 to 1934, CSC constructed tunnel under the river Ganges to bring the cable from this part, Garden Reach side, to the Botanical Garden side. And that was one of the engineering marvel that point of time. Similarly, I can tell you today, bringing power from our Holdia plant, which is a 600 megawatt plant in the other side of the river, in the Raichok, where the Ganges is almost 2 kilometer width. And we were not allowed to anchor the tower in between the river because of the navigation issue. And the tallest tower in this entire subcontinent, the second tallest tower in Asia, we have been able to construct for bringing power from Holdia to the city of Calcutta, which is being served today. It is again an engineering marvel. So my point of saying is that an organization, the great learning is that, yes, it may be old, it may be legacy driven, but rightly said by some of my co-panelists that you have to continuously change and bring change faster than it is required. And then only probably we will be able to sustain, we will be able to survive. Because organizations, which I'm speaking of the days when it was something thousands of consumers only. And 12 million unit of power in 1912, I'm speaking of, in the whole of a year. Today, we have 3.3 million consumers with 30 million is being served in one day. So that's the level of development also has taken place in the country. Wherever you will find, be it academic institution, the large industries like what not, I can tell you this, Andrew, we have seen that, Bamalodi we have heard, Braithwaite, Barn, Jessup, Garden Ridge, Port Trust, Railway, Hooghly Docking, Bicolori, Siemens, whole lot of industries I can tell you. I cannot name all the names. It was really a very industry-rich area, both with respect to jute, with respect to engineering, and the entire development of Howrah, which is called by, the second Sheffield, the manufacturing, small manufacturing, that has also been served by the electricity was given by us. So we have a very, very emotional connect also with the customers. I have seen the customers attached with us for generations. Similarly, the employees. There have been people who have been working with us for generations. In fact, I can tell you, even I find employees today and the fourth generation employees. Now, the whole strategy what we have taken, we could have really replaced the old people by the new brand of people, who are contemporary. But instead of that, keeping pace with the changes, what is required, we have given more emphasis on upskilling and reskilling of the employees who are there. So the employee who was writing on a paper, doing something on the, black and white, now using the tab to get the meter reading. So that is the strategy we have taken, and that has given us a huge level of loyalty, commitment, as well as the retention is very, very high. Of course, in the in the management group also our retention is quite high. So this is a journey. I would say it's not really something which is, I would appreciate Bengal Chamber for taking this heritage into account, and the most important and the purpose will be served most, effectively if we can take the lesson that how these survivals have taken place. What are the actually the elements of management behind it? And that's would be the key lesson for us. It can be a story by itself. I can go on saying history of how really Kolkata has witnessed CSC serving one after another. But I would not even the last, thing, you have seen the Fountain of Joy, which gives us a quite good amount of joy by the side of Victoria Memorial. And so, with this, I conclude and convey my sincere thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rai. It is, I think you have also hit the nail on the head. This particular event is now transforming into a management lesson program. We are getting inputs, and I think we must take this further, and maybe we could include a management training session based on all the inputs we have received. I think we will pursue with that. And anyway, you have mentioned two very important things in addition to what the others have said. One is that you have to preempt change, and also your skill development of your employees. So this employee thread continues with everyone. Everyone has been able to succeed because they could retain their employees, retrain their employees, and that's how it kept going. I think these are the important lessons which we have taken. There are a few takeaways in these 5 minutes from each of you, but I think we need to, as you said, have maybe a longer session with all your inputs. Now, Sukanya, I'll hand over to you to ask any questions which may have come in the chat box.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really an indeed learning session for us. We have right now 2 questions from the audience which has come up. The first question I would like to put up is role of industrial heritage in the economic regeneration. Would request if Gautam sir can address this, followed by Ratna Shekhar sir, Namit sir, and Mr. Mohan.
You just tell it again.
So the question is role of industrial heritage in economic regeneration.
Actually, you see, industry today is not a very homogeneous thing. You cannot consider one industry, the way we will handle one industry, the same way we can apply the same logic, same philosophy, same strategy for the other group of industry. If we consider the very core sector where we belong to, with the IT sector, there will be a complete different, behavioral issues, attitudinal issues, strategies are different. Heritage, what I was trying to tell you, that if we there are two, I would say we have to make a balance. Completely depending on legacy, completely depending on what we have done is the best. So we need not to change. Is not really advisable and it not is sustainable. As well as just ignore the past. Whatever we have done good, do not take it. Take only the present, consider only the present and think for the future is also not right. Anything is built on the brick and mortar, even on the foundation. So foundation is also extremely important. So you have to design the entire strategy depending on which sector you are operating, with what type of people you are engaging, and what is your past, what is the lesson from the past, and the best from it we have to take it so as to make the changes happening for the future to come.
Thank you, sir. Ratnashekar sir, we would like to hear your perspectives, please.
Yeah, to continue from what Gautam sir had said, basically the industrialization, or whatever you call industry 4.0, the artificial intelligence and whatnot, basically Internet of Things, blockchain, things are going, in a direction where we are moving away from the heritage. But one big thing we need to understand is, even if you have computers or anything, somebody is required to program that. So that's the basic thing. So that's what I said, heritage, what he said also, I also agree with that. Should never forget heritage. At the same time, whatever productivity improvement things, cost reduction things, you should always have, coupled with you continue your industrial heritage, at the same time, adopt the changes and then surge ahead. So that's what I want to say. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We would request Namit sir to say a few words.
Well, I think in West Bengal, if you look at the history, you will probably find that there are more companies that were born in the earlier age, and also more companies have fallen by the wayside. That's only because of the fact that Calcutta was at the forefront of industrialization right from the very beginning. But going back into your question about industrial heritage and how that can affect the future, I think in this day and age, heritage, of course, is something which we are proud of, that we have lived through all these years, but there is no guarantee that that's going to carry you into the future. And I think what's more important is to understand the rate and pace of change that surrounds us today, particularly in certain kinds of businesses, can render you obsolete very, very fast. And I think it's very important to read the writing on the wall to make sure that that does not happen to the companies in this day and age.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Would request Mohan sir to highlight on this, if you want to add on something. From Andrew, if we can have your views, sir.
Yeah, my take would be to embrace the heritage and bring in the changes which come by, and then go forward. That is the way to go. Because forgetting heritage will definitely take us away from the past, which we normally, we project and we are proud of.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question which has come up in various format is that the strategy of employee retention in these difficult times. I would like to request Gautam sir, he being an HR person, if he can start with Sir, your views, please.
Difficult time, of course. Nobody on the world thought of that we have to go through such a process for the last 2 years, what we are really going through. This only calls for that you have to be prepared for any uncertainties. Nothing is certain. If you ask me that what is the best strategy for anything, I mean, not only on the question of people retention, any strategy, basically that you have to be ready to accept and accommodate any changes, because we all over the world, I tell you very, very importantly, that all over the world didn't know that such a thing was going to happen. So with the fast rate of changes, what is happening, set aside the pandemic, what I was referring to, this is very, very important, that how to make people retained with us, with the companies. One way, of course, the proper exposure, technology, empowerment, these are of course necessary. But in today's world, I would say, I would emphasize on one word. That word, through my understanding and deep understanding, is that the trust. If you have a real trusted relationship, trust is something which brings credibility. And that brings many things people want to sacrifice, because the emotional quotient is also very high. So many things people can think other way if he finds a very trustworthy relationship in the organization. So as a leadership team, one has to be very, very, trustworthy. And that is one of the very key elements. Apart from all these things, what I have mentioned about the bringing changes, technological exposure, empowerment. Empowerment is a very important aspect, because today's world, the next generation, they want empowerment in real true sense. And what we see in our family, what we see in the other civic societies, the same thing is applicable for the organizations also. So it's a different approach we have to take, adopt, and I think we will survive and sustain, of course.
Thank you, sir. Namit sir, do you want to add anything on employee relationship?
Well, our company size has been nothing compared to many of the other panelists who have employed thousands of employees in their organizations. But I would say that it's very important to be perceived as a fair employer, which is going to stand by its employees in good times and bad times. And that also transcends into also ensuring that there is a sense that when the company is prospering, there is an expectation that the company will also ensure that others join the same journey. But by the same token, when the chips are down, you expect that the same employees will understand that and be with the company. And I think this is an important sense of belonging that is necessary for the employees to have. And I think if you can get that spirit instilled, you have a great team with you. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely, sir. Shekhar sir, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, actually this COVID has brought out a different dimension. It's not only reward, recognition or monetary terms, but it is a whole well-being of the employees. As long as you are going to take care of their well-being and their dependents, and then you are give them the support that this is not going to be there forever, and then we will come out of this, that kind of assurance and the communication. So as long as you are going to take care of their well-being, because people will be, as others said, what trust and other things are also very important, but well-being is also very important. And then employee well-being, once you are going to take care, then employees will give their best. That's what I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mohan sir, do you want to add something to it?
Please, sorry.
Yeah, now it is on.
Yes, it's audible.
I'm audible. I have something different to say. These organizations which in COVID times have taken care of their employees will definitely win long-time engagement from their employees. So they will win the loyalties of the employees for long and will be remembered. This is what I have to say on that. Thank you.
Absolutely. This were actually two questions which we received from the audience. I would now move on to our conclusion of the program. We have come to the end of this wonderful evening. On behalf of the Bengal Chamber, before we give a formal concluding address, which will be done by Mr. G.M. Kapoor, we would like to thank the partners of this program, Caring Minds and Exide Industries, for supporting us in bringing up this unique initiative, which we as a chamber who is operating in this region for more than 200 years feel is extremely important. We are really thankful to Exide Industries and Caring Minds for supporting this initiative and helping us to host this wonderful evening. With that, I would request Mr. G.M. Kapoor, the chairperson of our Heritage Committee, to give a formal concluding address before we finally conclude. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think I'm unmuted, yeah. Thank you, Sukanya. I must thank all our panelists who took time off and, the gems and the nuggets of information I said earlier, they have provided us. And heritage as such is something which maybe people ask, what has it got to do with corporate bodies and what has it got to do with industry? But heritage is nothing but our legacy, what we have received from the past. And it is something which will give us lessons for the future. And that is what we have seen just now in all the deliberations. So I think we have to learn from our heritage to ensure that we don't repeat mistakes in the future. So thank you so much for your participation. And we will continue to learn from you and gain inputs from you from time to time. And once again, many thanks to the Secretariat also for having organized this so well. Many thanks to all the corporates who have joined us as participants, as witnesses, or rather as audience. Thank you so much. And we look forward to continued association.
GM sir, before we say a final bye-bye to all our participants, all our awardees, we would also like to thank Intach for coming forward and helping us in judging this program and bringing out the best out of from this initiative. And we would like to thank you really for helping us in conceptualizing this wonderful initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thankful to all our awardees, all our partners who have helped us, help the chamber who always believe the constant in time change. Bengal Chamber has been in the industry since 1853, and we have always maintained that we must respect time and we must respect change. And we have been working and taking forward the chamber legacy in the same format. We are very much thankful to each and every participant who has taken out time and joined us. And we would now like to say you that please support us and keep joining us in this way and helping us in promoting Bengal's heritage. Thank you so much and good evening to you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.